This is a homework help video for lesson 4-6. We're on page 278 and I've picked 3 problems. As you can see, this is number 14. This is a quartic, that means 4th degree, trinomial, 3 terms, and it's an equation, a quartic trinomial equation, which means we've got to come up with the 4 solutions, the 4 numbers that if they were plugged in for x in this equation, it would make this a true statement. It would equal 0 for 4 different numbers that we would plug in for x. So let's see if we can find out what those solutions are. And this is very similar to what you were doing previously, Algebra 1 and then earlier in Algebra 2, when you were factoring quadratics. That means 2nd degree, and this was linear. We're still looking for the factors of 200 that would add up to negative 33. It's just that when we write our 2 factors, instead of them being linear binomials, they're going to be quadratic binomials. That probably makes sense to you because x squared times x squared gives us x to the 4th. But the way we do the other factoring is just like we did when we were factoring quadratics. The factors of 200 that add up to negative 33 would be negative 25 and negative 8. Okay, so now we just take each of the factors. We have 2 factors. Let's take each one of them and set them equal to 0. And we're going to solve each one. And we're going to get 2 solutions out of each one of these. Okay, so x squared is equal to 25. So x is equal to plus minus 5 square root of 25. And because one's plus and one's minus, of course that's 2 solutions. And now over here I'm going to do x squared is equal to 8. Make sure you write your answers in simplified radical form. There shouldn't be any decimals. So when we simplify the square root of 8, remember you could think of it as the square root of 4, which has a perfect square root, times the square root of 2, which does not. And when you simplify that, you get 2 square root of 2 plus minus. And those are my other 2 solutions. So a total of 4 solutions when you put these 2 together. And so that's your final answer for number 14. Here's another one of these, and I picked this one because it is probably a little tough to come up with the factors of negative 720, but some clues. Remember your divisibility rules. Anytime you have a number that ends in 0, then you should be thinking of either multiples of 5 or 10, and that will certainly help. I would be dividing, obviously it's even. Of course you could do even numbers, but you might want to start with multiples of 5 or 10 and see if that will help you get there. So the way the factoring works out is the factors of negative 720 that add up to negative 16 are negative 36 and positive 20. 20 is that multiple, it's multiple of 5 and 10. So 2 quadratic binomials. Negative 36, positive 20. Multiplied gives me negative 720, added gives me negative 16. Okay, set each of your factors to 0. Treat each of these as 2 little mini equations. And solve for x. X squared is equal to 36. So x is equal to plus minus 6. There's 2 solutions. Over here, x squared is equal to negative 20. So x is going to be plus minus 2i square root of 5. And if you didn't see how I got that, I broke negative 20 up into the square root of negative 1, which is I, square root of 4, which is 2, square root of 5, which cannot be simplified. And that is my final answer. Total of 4 answers really for number 31. So far so good. And I got one more. This is going to involve the factoring of 2 perfect cubes, a cubic binomial equation. So remember the factoring. We do the cube root of 64x cubed. That's 4x plus the cube root of 1. All right, and now we're going to make a trinomial factor out of these. I'm going to square this first term, 16x squared, minus, I'm going to multiply 4x and 1 together, plus, and then I'm going to square the last. 1 squared is 1. Okay, now my two factors are this binomial, so let's let it equal 0 and solve. So one of my solutions is negative 1/4. So I'm looking for two more. And they're going to come out of this. This is a quadratic equation. And again, we've talked about this before. It doesn't factor. There are no factors of 16x squared that add up to negative 4x. So I'm going to have to use either the quadratic formula or the completing the square method. And I think I'm going to do the formula, quadratic formula. So opposite of b, plus minus square root of b squared. 4 times 16 is 64 times 1. All over 2 times a, which is 32. So let's work on simplifying this radical. That's the square root of negative 48. And we can simplify the square root of negative 48. Once again, let's just go up here to the little radical factors. Negative 1, positive 16, radical 16. Okay, all together multiplied would give me negative 48. This is I. This is 4. Square root of 3 over 32. And then I can simplify because these numbers that are not under the radical are all divisible by 4. 4 divided by itself is 1. Again, 1i, square root of 3. And then 4 into 32 is 8. Okay, so I got two solutions here because of plus minus, and then I've got another one here, negative 1/4. And that is my final answer for number 35. So I hope this helps. Maybe seeing these, make sure you can do them on your own. Maybe this will help you to do a better job with the others that are part of this assignment. So let me know if I can help.